Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere. I don't know. I usually say somewhere in between two formerly tariff nations. My name is BrianEngelman. Today is Wednesday, June 4th, 2025, and this is the TNAM Daily Show here on the new American media, because the old American media has failed you. We're going to discuss all of the things. Cy Young winner Trevor Bauer has been completely vindicated. Will Major League Baseball remove their blackball of him? He's been kicked out of the league for years now. We will discuss. Also, we're going to discuss what is going on in Ukraine. Also, we're going to discuss the big, beautiful bill. Also, we're going to discuss more. All of the things that are on your mind, we're going to get to today. Leave your comments, and let's get into today's show.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
All right, then. Thanks for being here today. You know, I saw comments. It said, "Oh, is Brian still putting on his makeup?" And so I laughed and I said, "Let's roll." Now I don't see the comments. I see that we're streaming on Facebook, which is good. Hit the thumbs up, hit the hearts button. Let me make sure that we are streaming on Rumble. Appears as though we are. Let's double check here. See if that is still the case. All right, good. And we are up and running. Fantastic. All right. This is June. What do you know June as? Of course, there are lots of celebrations. June is no exception. June is, as we all know, Men's Mental Health Month. Half of the population. Roughly half of the population, men. You know, that's a very powerful message for the month of June, Mental Health Month. Trevor Bauer is a Cy Young winning pitcher, formerly of the Cleveland Indians, formerly of the Cincinnati Reds, and then formerly of the Los Angeles Dodgers. A few years ago, Trevor Bauer was accused of atrocious acts. And instead of letting the man defend himself in court, defend himself against the accusations, as I believe all Americans should be allowed to do. We're innocent unless proven guilty, right? Innocent unless proven guilty. Major League Baseball didn't do that. The Los Angeles Dodgers kicked him off of their team. Major League Baseball has, let's just face it, put a hit on Trevor Bauer, put a blackball on Trevor Bauer. they've 86'd Trevor Bauer. Now, Trevor Bauer had opportunities to work in court to confront his accuser, as we all have the right to do. For anybody can get accused of anything. You shouldn't have your life ruined unless you're proven guilty in a court of law, a jury of your peers. Hopefully, it's not just some one corrupt magistrate that could be a political partisan, a hack who's doing a job, getting bribed and paid off or threatened to make sure that they rule a certain way. But, a jury of your peers, 12 angry men, whatever the case may be, have a chance to defend yourself. But Major League Baseball said, you know what? Trevor must be guilty, or you know what? It's not worth the hassle. We're just not going to let him earn a living anymore in Major League Baseball. At the peak of his career, Cy Young winning pitcher, derailed by false accusations. Now, as we focus on one half of the population, men's health, this happens far too often. We see it in sports all the time. But it's really not just in sports. Simply being accused of something without ever being found guilty of anything is ruining lives nationwide. And by the way, if you want to try to understand the root of why there are fewer children being born, we can talk in America. Ask someone who's been divorced with a child involved. Ask how that experience has gone. Ask if their significant other has lied about anything or accused them of things for power, manipulation, control, money, what have you. Now, I'm not in that group. I don't bring a personal bitter animus into the situation. My parents did divorce. Once my brother and I were grown adults, we were 18 and over and out of the house. So I have a little bit of experience with that and how that played out. And I do have some personal thoughts there, but I know many people who have had catastrophic circumstances occur, being accused of all sorts of things. And it really pushes people away. It pushes them out of the marketplace. It pushes them out of wanting to be in a relationship. They don't want to have a family if it's going to end this way. And it's tragic. There's a whole men's rights movement about how unfair it is in the child support system. Just how much they are punished, financially punished, and that accusations are taken as fact without evidence. Trevor Bauer had his life ruined by a woman. I'll get into the details. I'll get into the details when I pull up the posts, and we'll show you what his agent, Rachel Luba, posted. We also put it on our Instagram feed. It's obvious what happened here. This was an extortion attempt, and Major League Baseball bit. Major League Baseball went along with it. The Dodgers bailed on Trevor. The Players Union bailed on Trevor. And it's not right. And so right now during June, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, we recently saw the sports science guy, and they said he lost a battle with depression. I still don't have details. I don't know what he did. They're saying he did it himself, and I just haven't found the details. Actually, let me look. Just I've been weirded out by how that story has been misreported, or just maybe underreported. I guess maybe that's a better way to say it. Let me just ask Grok. How did the sports science guy expire? I don't know what kind of details there are. Grok is searching. John Brinkus TV was battling depression, and he lost his fight with this terrible illness. But how? The statement does not explicitly confirm the cause of death. Some posts say he might have done it. TMZ, Virginia Department of Health, and the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner confirmed that he did it himself, aligning with earlier statements from his company. Lost his fight. In a 2023 interview with Marcellus Wiley, Brenkus shared that he had previously attempted it, but was stopped by his dog, Zeppelin. While the exact method isn't specified, the medical examiner's confirmation provides clarity. Still don't have the info. Hi, hey, Kenneth, how are you? Yeah, it's weird. I saw your comments, and then I saw David's comments, and I saw you saying, "Oh, is Brian still in the makeup chair?" I did get a haircut though. Had to kind of tighten things up for the summer. Short hair, don't care. But anyway, it's time to respect men, and it's time to respect the rule of law. It's time to respect the process. And Trevor Bauer is the perfect example of Men's Mental Health Month. To take a step back and say, why are we destroying people before they have a chance to defend themselves? Why are you guilty unless proven innocent instead of being innocent unless proven guilty? Why is it backward? Why wasn't Trevor Bauer allowed to continue his career while his legal team fought these lies, fought these extortion attempts? I really want an answer to this question. Oh man, Bauer's got the power now. You get a Cy Young award-winning pitcher in the prime of his career, and he was famously signing one-year contracts. I think he did eventually sign a 3-year with the Dodgers. I mean, but a guy in his prime, 50, 100 million a year, easy, quarterback money. This is a Cy Young award. Trevor Bauer should sue Major League Baseball for $1 billion. Half in lost revenue and half in besmirched reputation. You got to let a guy have a chance to clear his name. You don't get to ruin his life without proof. That's not okay. That's anti-American, and it's... Well, I was just going to drop a 10-cent cuss word there, but it's un-American. We shouldn't stand for it. And I support Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer signed an autograph for me. Yeah, signed a baseball. So, I don't know. We'll unpack the story when it pops up. But yeah, I do think, Kenneth, that Bauer is going to have the power of attorney, that is. I really think he's going to sue them into oblivion. I hope he does. And I really hope my Cleveland Guardians sign him. Trevor Bauer famously sliced his finger open in a drone accident when we were trying to win a World Series, shooting blood all over the place. He couldn't pitch. Maybe it cost us a World Series. Trevor Bauer was taken out of the game, and he was mad about it, so he took the ball and he threw it from the pitcher's mound over the center field wall. We got rid of him shortly after. Like, damn near immediately. So, look, Trevor has a reputation to rebuild, and some people think he cost Cleveland a championship. How about sign him on the Cleveland Guardians? Rebuild your image, rebuild your character, rebuild your career, and get us a damn championship already. We've been waiting our entire lives. So that's what I have to say about that. The other big story, Elon hates the big, beautiful bill. Look, I've said you have to cut spending, you have to cut spending, you have to cut spending. We're in a debt spiral. 25% of everything we pay goes to interest. We're doing $1 trillion every 100 days. Like we're past the point of insolvency. But by the way, no, we're not. No, we are not. No, we're not. People who sat at our table before we sat down to eat dinner, they ran up a tab. It wasn't me. You can't come after me for that. Well, all the people before you ran up a tab that we didn't collect on. So, you owe that too. No, we don't. Who allegedly owns the debt that America allegedly owes? I am sick and tired of usury, the banksters stealing from humanity, sitting back, kicking back, fingers crossed, kicking it in the Caribbean. Oh, look at all my little slaves working and toiling. I just collect all your money. Ha 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 ha. How about no? Yeah, so far in debt, it's not funny. David, welcome back. But it's not even collectible. How do they, whoever they are, and I asked this question, they're like, you know what? I'm going to ask Grok. Here, let's go ahead and let me share this page and we'll ask Grok together. When it is said that the U.S. owes, in quotation, in parentheses, $37 trillion, who exactly claims that we owe them that money? So what was it? Treasury bonds, T-bills? Is that what it was? Isn't owned by a single entity, a range of creditors. The public, 29 trillion held by the public, owed to external investors who have purchased U.S. Treasury securities like bonds, bills, and notes. Domestic holders, about 20 trillion, owned by U.S.-based entities. The Federal Reserve is the biggest single holder. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. I would hate to leave the Federal Reserve hanging. And they can't collect their $20 trillion. People that have no right to issue our own currency and then issue it at debt so that we have to pay them back. How about fuck them? How about fuck them? 1913? Let's just reverse that. Let's just wipe that out. So the 20 trillion's gone because they are... Anyway, I'll continue. With around 5 trillion as of late, it's been reducing its holdings since 2022 to combat inflation. No, because we're gonna bail on it, and you know it. How about you hold it and you choke on it? The Federal Reserve is not a federal agency. They're private banking cartels. Let them choke on the slavery they thought they put us into. At some point, the lender is responsible for over-lending. You cannot ring up a tab of $37 trillion and expect to pay it back. Going back to that other story real quick. Kenneth said he used to think women could do no wrong. Wrong. Key part of that phrase, used to. Mitch Hedberg, one of my favorite comics, has a joke. He goes, I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too. All right. It's just silly. Anyway, other domestic players include mutual funds, pension funds, insurance companies, banks, state and local governments, and individual investors. They invest in treasuries because they're seen as a secure asset backed by the U.S. government's credit. Well, get out of those, I would say. Foreign investors have 9 trillion in there. 25% of the total debt. Japan, largest holder, 1 trillion. China, 770 billion. UK, 780 billion. Luxembourg and Canada, 373 and 328 billion. They consider it a safe investment, often used to stabilize their own currency or as a reliable store of value. 7.5 is intergovernmental debt, meaning the government owes it to itself. Oh, well, there you go. That's like Lindsey Graham signing off on his own $400,000 Ukrainian tax, Ukrainian bill. Oh, here is total bill for visit to Ukraine. $400,000. He. Okay, rubber stamp. So anyway, the narrative often paints this as a looming crisis, but the reality is more nuanced. Much of this debt is held by stable, long-term investors, and the U.S. has never defaulted, maintaining confidence in its ability to pay. However, the growing size of the debt does raise questions about long-term fiscal sustainability, especially with interest payments projected to hit $1.71 trillion in a decade if trends continue. Trevor Bauer is going to be Trevor Sauer. He should become the new owner of Major League Baseball. I'm rooting for him. All right. Well, that's what's going on with the debt. Elon Musk is upset at the big, beautiful bill. And I'll read you his comments coming up. And he has a right to be. I've said we've had Obama running a shadow government for the last 8 years behind Biden and trying to ruin Trump's term. His own 8 years of debauchery. We have a looming World War III that the deep state seems hell-bent on having. So buckle up, people. Buckle up. And in this unique situation where Obama has spent 16 years building war chests and setting up U.S. aid and all the money laundering and all of these NGOs and the shell game of follow the money to secure our border, put the Golden Dome in, repair a bunch of stuff that's gone by the wayside, and fix a lot of things. I could reluctantly understand why President Trump needs more of his budget this year. But it has to come in with cuts next year. You can get more up front if you're going to take more off on the back. If that's not the case, I can't reluctantly hold my nose and be a part of it. The big problem with the big, beautiful bill is that it's too big to understand. You can have experts give you drastically different opinions. Mike Johnson and Stephen Miller have a very different opinion on it than Cenk Uygur, than a lot of people. You could look at the same thing and run it through Grok, and actually, let me run it through Grok. Let's see what happens. Will the big, beautiful bill reduce the budget, reduce the deficit, or add to it? I mean, of course, it's going to be add to it. Searching, thinking. Projected to significantly add to the U.S. deficit despite White House claims to the contrary. Independent analysis provides a clear picture. The CBO, Congressional Budget Office, estimates the bill's tax provisions alone will increase the deficit $3.8 trillion over the next decade, while spending cuts, primarily to Medicaid and SNAP, only reduce spending about 1.6. The Committee for Responsible Federal Budgets, CRFB, and the Penn-Wharton budget model, oh, that's Wharton, they align on this, estimating a net deficit increase of 2.5 to 3.3 trillion over 10 years, potentially ballooning to 5.1 if temporary provisions are extended without offsets. Carolyn Levitt claims the bill saves 1.6 and reduces the deficit. And they also argue economic growth from tax cuts and tariffs, projected to generate 2.3 to 3.3 trillion over 10, will offset costs. However, these claims don't hold up under scrutiny. The CBO and other nonpartisan analysis, like the tax foundations, show the bill's tax cuts, including making the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act permanent, far outweigh the savings. The tax foundation estimates a 4.1 trillion revenue loss from tax provisions alone, and even on a dynamic basis, accounting for growth, the deficit still rises by 1.7 trillion. So Elon's upset, and I think he has a right to be. No, I'm not tired of you, Siri. I'm tired of usury. The banksters. So we'll unpack these stories and more on the program, but those were a couple of quick thoughts off the top of my head about the two main topics we'll be diving into today. Oh, also, World War III seems more likely than ever before. So, there's that. While we fiddle around and discuss sports, things are going haywire in other places. So, by the way, the NHL finals kick off, I believe, today. Let's double check here. NHL, yes. Florida versus Edmonton. That is today, game 1 of the Stanley Cup Championship Series. Meanwhile, game 1 of Oklahoma City Thunder versus Indiana Pacers kicks off tomorrow. And that's all I have to say about that. What does the federal deserve? They deserve nothing. I'll have a hamburger. No, a cheeseburger. You'll have nothing and like it. Bushwood. Federal Reserve. Oh, yeah. Guess what? We're going to take over the money thing. Yeah, we're just going to print your money and loan it back to you at interest. How about tar and feather? How about that? You're going to print our money for us? Oh, benevolent overlord. Thank you for printing our money and loaning it back to us instead of us just printing it our GD selves. No, thank you. I'm so eager to pay you interest on our own money. Do we have the capability of ripping this cancer out at the root and reversing all the damage done in 1913? Or are we doomed? Feels kind of doomy. To me. All right, let's get into the news. Glenn Beck has a kind of a good point here. It's just weird how we think about certain stories. He says, here's what haunts me about the Boulder, Colorado attack. If this had been the other way around, if a white man had firebombed a mosque while screaming ethnic slurs, this country would be on fire right now. We'd have task forces, blue ribbon panels, hashtags. Every anchor on every channel would wear black ties and solemn tones. But a Jewish woman in her 80s, who survived the Holocaust, mind you, gets burned alive by a radicalized illegal alien invader? The media yawns, and the anti-racism advocates scroll by in silence. Moving on, Benny Johnson reporting. A federal... let me switch the screen. Oh, that works. Good. A federal judge throws out California's lawsuit aimed at President Trump's tariffs, citing jurisdiction issue. Gavin Newsom and AG Bonta dismissed, but the path is open for immediate appeal to the federal appellate court. So keep your eyes peeled, but that's a win for President Trump. What's this one here? Sovereign Bra says the only solution to this Oh, and by the way, I'm completely against Palantir now. I have made a decision. Totally against Palantir. I'll play you the video coming up. But Sovereign Bra says the only solution to this Palantir AI surveillance stuff is a digital Bill of Rights. The founders created the original Bill of Rights to limit the power of centralized government and protect the people. We need a new version, tailored for the age of AI and mass surveillance. It has to include the right to digital privacy, the right to human judgment, not machine rule, a ban on pre-crime prediction and social credit systems, the right to encryption and anonymity, the right to control your own data, mandatory transparency for how the government uses AI, the preservation of state-level digital self-governance. Without this, Palantir's technologies will 100% be weaponized against the American people. And I'm going to put in here, look up the Palantir CEO bragging about how he ruined the right-wing of European politics. Yeah. We're out on Palantir now. Digital Bill of Rights. Sounds like a good idea. All right. So things have gotten officially strange. Yeah, Kenneth. The United States is now 83 shabadabadillion in debt. They're just making numbers up at this point. All right, so we are seeing a shadow government operating. The stuff going on in Ukraine, stuff going on in the Middle East, the reports of the Trump administration, the reports that the Trump administration is not aware of many of these developments, tells you everything you need to know. So let's read this one from Douglas Mackey. A stunning report in Israeli media suggests that President Trump is taking control of the U.S.-Israel relationship and removing foreign influence from his administration in general. Israeli sources are said to fear the influence of Trump Jr., Tucker Carlson, and J.D. Vance. Under President Trump, the U.S. will be the senior partner dictating terms, and Israel the junior partner. Under Biden, it was the other way around. Israeli officials expressing growing concern over a series of unexpected personnel changes within the U.S. administration, particularly involving individuals widely seen as strongly supportive of Israel. Two senior officials recently removed from their posts are Merav Karen, a dual U.S.-Israeli citizen who was only recently appointed as the head of the Iran and Israel portfolio at the National Security Council, and Eric Traeger, who oversees the Middle East and North Africa. Both had been appointed by former National Security Advisor, wait for it, what's the name? Mike Waltz. A staunch supporter of Israel, who was himself dismissed by Trump. Their removal was reportedly carried out by Waltz's successor, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Oh, really? Another high-profile figure expected to depart is Morgan Ortagus, deputy to Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and the official handling the Lebanon portfolio. Sources say her departure is not voluntary. Ortagus, who converted to Judaism and wears a Star of David necklace, is considered one of the strongest supporters of Israel within the administration. Her imminent departure has stunned officials in Jerusalem, where she is viewed as closely aligned with Israeli interests. Israeli sources familiar with the U.S.-Israel relations believe that the spate of removals is driven by Trump's America First agenda. According to those sources, the shakeup is not specifically aimed at Israel, but reflects a broader effort to curb foreign influence across the board. They stress that the dismissals were not a result of the officials' views on Israel, but rather part of Trump's ongoing attempt to weaken the National Security Council and consolidate control of U.S. foreign policy into his own hands. This, they say, explains why Trump has left the National Security Advisor post vacant, with Rubio assuming the responsibilities instead. Ultimately, sources say the push to remove pro-Israel figures is being led by Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., and Vice President J.D. Vance. These removals are not occurring in a vacuum, but rather reflect a broader distancing between Jerusalem and the Trump administration, which appears to be pursuing its own strategic calculus. Netanyahu has reportedly confided in closed-door discussions with his confidant, Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer, that he misjudged the direction the U.S. was taking on Israel and the broader Middle East. Senior Israeli officials said Netanyahu did not hide his disappointment with Dermer. Dermer misread the situation. He was convinced the U.S. would never turn against us, said one source. He failed to anticipate the shift in U.S. policy toward Israel. Even now, Dermer still believes the U.S. will remain supportive and maintain coordination, but the truth is he's lost his bearings. According to those officials, Netanyahu is deeply troubled by developments in Washington, particularly the growing influence of the separatist white woke current within Trump's orbit and figures like conservative commentator Tucker Carlson. The Prime Minister's office has denied reports that Netanyahu criticized Dermer, calling them fake news. However, others familiar with the matter say Dermer is operating in a guerrilla-like fashion, running one of the government's most sensitive and critical diplomatic portfolios with a very small team. He doesn't involve anyone, and it's now clear that something isn't working in the Netanyahu-Trump relationship. Something's off, one source said. An additional source on these matters. All right, so that's happening, according to Douglas Mackey. We're going to circle around. We're going to go to some other disturbing situations in geopolitics. We're going to get to Ukraine. More escalation, more explosions. Right after Lindsey Graham leaves. So interesting. It's almost like the New World Order is going to get the war that the New World Order wants. President be damned. How about that Logan Act, by the way? I didn't know Lindsey Graham was allowed to negotiate on behalf of the United States. Isn't that interesting? But hey, what do I know? I'm just a simp. I'm just a simpleton. All right. Representative Anna Paulina Luna says, come to find out, the Rules Committee and House leadership still haven't brought Trump's executive orders or anything to codify Doge to the floor. No codify votes, then guess what? No votes. Half the reason the GOP took the majority is because of Trump and Elon, and now they're too scared to codify. Miss Muckraker puts out this. Is there more? There's usually a whole bunch of these, but maybe there's just one. I can fuller screen this. Yes, there we go. Yes. House Freedom Caucus, according to Miss Muckraker, House Freedom Caucus is reportedly ready to codify $9.4 billion in Doge spending cuts into law, per Fox. The House Freedom Caucus pushing to codify $9.4 billion in cuts proves that Doge's efficiency model works. Targeting NPR, PBS, and USAID slush funds, perfect start. Those agencies epitomize bureaucratic bloat. NPR's taxpayer-funded activism, USAID's endless foreign giveaways. The $175 billion saved so far, that's over $1,000 per taxpayer, shows what happens when you audit every contract. Critics scream chaos, while Doge surgically dismantles waste. This rescission package isn't just about dollars. It's about forcing DC to admit that their grift can't survive sunlight. Next step, make every cut permanent through HR 199's automatic rescissions. All right, Leading Report put this out. All right, Daily Signal has reported, according to Leading Report, murder rates have plummeted in major cities under President Trump as of May 2025. If this is true, take a listen. New York down 27%, Chicago 24%, St. Louis down 35%, Denver down 63%, Baltimore down 32%, Cleveland down 37%, New Orleans down 31%. This is the way button. Wow. How about that? I wonder how much of this was migrant crime that's been allowed under the Biden-Obama regime. So yeah, that's if the data proves it, bears this out. Molly is saying, big, beautiful bill. Sorry, President. I love my president, but I agree with Elon. I'm really disappointed. Elon said, I'm very disappointed. Miss Muckraker says, how do you get people to understand how corrupt something is? You expose it. Isn't it interesting that President Trump and Elon Musk disagree on something? It's almost as if they will have to work together to get the bill where it needs to be. I wish there was a department that exposes waste in the government. Oh, wait, there is. And Elon built it. So the question is, can we still cut waste even though this bill passed? The answer is yes. Wasteful spending can still be addressed despite the One Big Beautiful Bill Act of 2025. The House passed bill cuts some spending, $700 billion from Medicaid, $267 billion from SNAP. But as we've said, it's not enough, and tax cuts may add 2.5 to 5.3 trillion to the deficit. More cuts are possible through Senate changes to the bill, efforts by the Office of Management and Budget and Department of Government Efficiency to find waste, new laws targeting specific inefficiencies, giving states more control to spend wisely, transparency to expose wasteful programs. Success depends on political will and follow through. Contact your senators, read the bill, tell them exactly what you feel. We, the people, hold the power. If your senators are not approving your wishes, remember, they are public servants. Work to remove them, to expose them. Lindsey Graham. Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd. Don't worry. Don't worry about my hotel bill. I'm Senator. I'm Lindsey Graham. It's $411,000. That was my hotel bill for Ukraine. Don't worry, that bill's been approved by Lindsey Graham. Nothing to see here, folks. FBI said, hold on. What are these? Chloe Cole says, I am a detransitioner and I've spoken personally with hundreds of others that have been seriously injured by this practice. We want to see this burned to the ground. FBI says, help the FBI protect children. As the Attorney General has made clear, we will protect our children and hold accountable those who mutilate them under the guise of gender-affirming care. Report tips of any hospitals, clinics, or practitioners performing these surgical procedures on children at 1-800-CALL-FBI or tips.fbi.gov. Yes, let's go. What? Breaking. Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey endorses a Rand Paul Thomas Massie presidential ticket for 2028. Whoa! Folks, did you hear that one? I got to ask you the question. Thomas Massie, Rand Paul. Do you agree or disagree with that presidential ticket for 2028? I'm going to agree. That looks pretty fantastic, if I do say so myself. Is this true? I mean, most of these are true, but let's double check. Where's Jack Dorsey? Is he trending yet? It's not showing me anything trending. Jack Dorsey 2028. The first projection. Okay, that's Jack reposted Paul Massie 2028. Okay, there's the post. This is Jack Dorsey and why he endorsed RFK Jr. for president in 2024. Okay, let me click on the latest. A reported endorsement. Grok cannot verify the claim that Jack Dorsey endorsed a Rand Paul Thomas Massie ticket for 28. He reposted someone else saying it, but you know, come on, retweets are not endorsements. So we'll slow our roll on that one for now. These are the reported murder rates, all down as of May 2025. Significant drops compared to the same period last year, January through May of 24. Inflation has dropped to 2.1% in April. Personal income increased 0.8% per White House. All right, well, we got to change that. The personal income needs to go up 5-10%, and the inflation needs to go to zero, go to negative. drop lower at least. Oh, you're an economist? Well, I'm a dude that knows you need to make more money to keep up with inflation, and if you can't keep up, you're on a collision course with the side of a mountain. Yeah, we're past the point of, oh yeah, we're just gonna trust the plan. Yeah, we're gonna keep going the way we've been going. No, we're not. No, we're not. Elon Musk reportedly calling for the United States to withdraw all funding to the United Nations. I'm going to ask Grok. Did Elon call to remove funding for the UN? Yes. June 3, 2025, according to posts found on X. This was in response to a resurfaced video of UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, where he appeared to criticize social media platforms for spreading information that conflicted with globalist agendas. Musk's remarks sparked a debate with a UN spokesperson urging continued funding for the organization's global role. However, these claims from X posts are inconclusive without further verification from primary sources. All right. That's why I'm giving you some of the context here. Yeah, we said go back to the drawing board and make some huge spending cuts. All right. Now, Peter Ducey, Carolyn Levitt talking about Joe Biden's puppet presidency and the pardons in the auto pen.
Last minute Biden pardons. The big ones. Biden siblings, Fauci, January 6th committee.
That's right.
Most of the big ones have the same very neat signature. We would expect that probably to be the auto pen. There is one that looks different. It looks authentic. In fact, if you look at the last name, it almost looks like the president was having a hard time spelling his last name there. Is this White House of the opinion that the only pardon that would count is one that the president signed himself?
It's very interesting. Very interesting props. If you want to bring them to my office later so I can take a closer look, I would like to do that. The president is making a good point when he discusses the usage of the auto pen. Who was running the country for the past 4 years?
And by the way, news coming up about Karine Jean-Pierre. Oh, her and Jake Tapper. I mean, they are rats fleeing the sinking DNC ship. It is glorious to watch them scuffle and lie about it.
Perhaps those documents were signed with the auto pen, something that I believe the Department of Justice is looking into. As you saw, Ed Martin made an announcement at the Department of Justice this morning to launch an investigation because the American people deserve answers.
Is there any concern that this president, who won the election on a promise to fix the economy and close the border, that focusing and scrutinizing these Biden pardons is looking into the past instead of looking forward?
I think in comparison to the amount of time this president has spent on securing the border, on fixing our economy, I just read out for you an entire list of economic accomplishments. Look at the border numbers, look at the time and effort he's divulged into solving the global conflicts abroad. It pales in comparison, but it still, nevertheless, is a very important issue. And it was a huge issue that sent the president back to this White House. The Americans saw with their own eyes a mentally incompetent president, and they want answers for that. And the president believes they should have.
And when you look at these last-minute Biden pardons, the big ones, Biden said,
Yeah, I'm super excited to go get Fauci today. Lindsey Scram. It's interesting that he signed one pardon, and that was for his son. Is that all that we know is different? I don't know. Is that the only one that he actually signed and all the others can be voided? Sure. Let's go for it. Go get Fauci. Check this one out. Libs of TikTok reporting. You can almost see it. Christian McGee, the North Carolina. It's just me and my Christian McGee. La da da, da 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 da. I'm a Christian McGee, yeah. Christian McGee, the North Carolina teen who was suspended from school for using the term illegal alien in class, will receive $20,000 and a public apology from the Davidson County Board of Election Davidson County Board of Education after they falsely accused him of racial bias. I don't think being in a country illegally has to do with race. It has to do with the illegal actions. 20,000. If he was able to get 20,000, he probably could have got more. While the board maintains that the disciplinary action imposed was appropriate due to the class disruption caused by comments at issue, the board apologizes for the mischaracterization of racial bias arising from Christian's comments and will remove any reference to race or racial bias as a motive for the comments from his educational record, which contains no other incidences of discipline related to racial bias. The board also acknowledges the inappropriate response to this matter by a sitting member. That member has taken accountability for their actions and has privately apologized to the family. The McGees are grateful for the steps taken. Yeah, there should be another zero on that check. Exactly. Another comment. Illegal alien isn't a race. So, Real Brett Lee says, pretty weak apology. Yeah, he's on a fast track to leadership now. So, this should have been in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. People should have been fired, and the apology should be stronger and without so much weasel language. Otherwise, well done. So that's the way. This is the way. Destroy the woke punishment pirates. Sue them into oblivion. I don't know why the DNC is still active for the life of me. Oh, check this one out. Jason D. Meister. USA Today. Let me go side by side. USA Today puts this out and says, whoop, hold on. Now it's scrolling. Wait, I'm on another page. Pause it. USA Today says, Boulder suspect's daughter dreamed of studying medicine. Now she faces deportation. Oh. Jason D. Meister says, perhaps her father shouldn't have lit a Holocaust survivor on fire. We said shame on on USA Today. Real Ben Geller reporting that crooked Kathy Hochul has a primary opponent. Her very own Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado. Definitely changes the dynamics. If Delgado wins, he'll likely win by 10 to 15 pretty easily. However, if Hochul wins, but it's only by the skin of her teeth, the general will be close. We will have a chance. This is fantastic news for the GOP in New York. Democrats are in chaos and divided exactly where we want them. There's a lot of contention in this big, beautiful bill about this. Trump's big, beautiful bill, according to Disclosed TV, bans all 50 states from regulating AI for 10 years, centralizes control at the federal level, and integrates AI systems into key federal agencies. And, of course, there's Uncle Ted Kaczynski, who warned about, really, Terminator, AI taking over. So, what say you? Do you have concerns? Danielle D'Souza Gill says Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has said, I believe in a Western civilization founded on Greek philosophy, Roman law, and Christian values. She's Italy's first female prime minister, yet the media won't celebrate her. Notice how feminists go silent when a woman refuses to bow to the left. Isn't that interesting? All right, here's Stephen A. Smith roasting Tim Walz. Take I'll look at this. Let me go full screen here. Here you go.
A loss, to reflect upon the loss and to talk about pushing back on them. That's all you got? And oh, by the way, if that is what you really, really feel, how come you didn't do it during the campaign? How come you didn't do it when you were on the debate stage versus J.D. Vance? I mean, if there was ever a kumbaya moment in politics, it was him against J.D. Vance. I mean, they did everything but hug and kiss one another. I mean, this is what was going on. They even parodied it on Saturday Night Live. I mean, this is how funny it was. And so when you're looking at it from that standpoint, where was all of that when you had the ear of the Democratic presidential nominee, that is Kamala Harris? Where was all of that then? We don't want, I respect Tim Walsh, the governor of Minnesota. I get what you bring to the table, whatever that may be. God bless you. But you had an opportunity to make all of this noise before. And if you missed out on it, we certainly don't want to hear from you now. In a loss, to reflect upon the loss and to talk about pushing back.
I mean, it's a nice sports analogy. You said Lindsey Scram. How about Lindsey Scam? How about that? Lindsey Scam. But I like the sports analogies here. It's like, you lost. Sit down. Go sit down. We don't want it. We've been dealing with your ilk for 4 years. Go sit down. Sit down, shut up. We don't need to take our marching orders from the losers that have been destroying this country. Tim Walz. What a clown. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith might lead the Democrat Party. Keep your eyes peeled on him. We've reached out to Scott to see if we could book him on for an episode of the Agree to Disagree show. It's been a minute. Scott said, let me go side by side. Let's go full screen. There we go. Scott Pressler says, it's all very clear to me. Neither Zelensky nor the Democrats want peace. Both of them are just biding their time in hopes that Republicans lose the House in 2026. Then Democrats will be in control of the budget and Ukraine continues to get its blank check for war. It's all a game. Doji says Zelensky rejected Trump's mineral deal after Democrat advice. Could have rebuilt Ukraine with their own resources. Instead, DC insiders keep taxpayer cash flowing to the contractors. Now Ukraine begs Europe while Putin laughs. Cut the checks. America first. I'll drop an America first button. Did you see this one? I'm wondering how it's reading this. A Southwest flight headed to Dallas reportedly rerouted mid-flight national train. They waited until they took off. Why didn't they handle this on the tarmac? I have questions. I couldn't this tarmac. I wait for lights in the air to take a rest. So I'm looking to get more info. How does an illegal get on a plane going through TSA? That's a great question. Anyway, that leaves me. I wonder if I could ask about Southwest, Dallas, Southwest, White, Dallas. Such diversions for raids are extremely rare. All right, here's the contact. Let me share this tab instead. It's easy to understand. It directly addresses the post claim and provides important context. Yes. So they are saying Nashville NC5 is reporting a Southwest 737 airliner from LaGuardia en route to Dallas was diverted to Nashville because of a bomb threat. Nothing was found. A few hours later, the passengers reboarded and continued on their flight. Okay. A security matter. They swarm and detain a mystery man. ICE raid or bomb scare. The truth is buried deep with no official word. Is this a covert crackdown? They said they need to refuel. It was for an ICE raid. Heavily armed officers boarded the plane and removed them from the aircraft. Oh, is this after? This is once they landed, I'm imagining. I thought they were in flight. So this is once they landed? All right. Well, I got questions on this. The word mid-flight kind of threw me off there. All right, Ron Paul with a really good quote here that you should hear. Foreign aid is taking money from poor people in a rich country and giving it to rich people in a poor country. That's why you don't do foreign aid. Well, Glenn Greenwald has been doxxed and embarrassed. Whoop, I got to switch the tab. Glenn Greenwald has been doxxed and embarrassed. People are wondering why. Why now? Well, the Streisand effect is in full effect. Since Glenn Greenwald was since people tried to silence him, people are now sharing more of his stuff than ever before. You made him famous, so here you go. Congratulations. You asked for more Glenn Greenwald. Let's listen to him talking with Tucker.
Couldn't even believe it.
Why is the volume so low? Did I turn the volume down? Okay, that's why. Here we go.
I always liked DeSantis. I spent a lot of time in Florida. I was there for part of the pandemic. And I like DeSantis. He's smart, He's not a warm guy or anything, but I'm not looking for new friends. Right. I respect DeSantis, and he's very on it on the details. Then he signs a hate speech law, travels to a foreign country to sign a hate speech law.
Oh, there's music in the back of this video. YouTube Google doesn't understand that most of the media these days has random music in the background. Doggone it. Ron DeSantis signed a hate speech law in Florida. And I was so confused. I didn't even think it was real. And I said to somebody, well, that was a hate speech. That's not a hate speech law. Well, it looks like a hate speech law, like Sharia law. Kind of a version of Sharia law in Florida? Shut up. And no one said anything about it. And then, all the DeSantis people started attacking me for nothing. And I talked to DeSantis again on the basis of that. What is that? How can you do that in the United States? I mean, there's this attempt now to impose on colleges, require colleges to adopt, but also enact into American law, this radical expansion of what anti-Semitism means. So is that why people went after Glenn Greenwald? Because he's calling out these hate speech laws? Of course, hate speech is protected speech. You don't have to like it. You don't have to listen to it either. You don't need laws to protect popular speech. DeSantis lost us when he turned on Trump in the 2024 in the GOP primaries instead of circling the wagons to defend President Trump. I didn't realize there was music in it. I'm just listening to the words. I'm like, oh, good Lord, there's music. All right. You heard about this drone attack in Ukraine, and I told you about what it was yesterday. And then today I saw the video kind of showing you what it is. So let's show you what this looks like. Yeah, Tucker has been pretty great. That's why Fox had to get rid of him. Remember when Fox torpedoed their own case? They essentially kneecapped themselves. They're like, oh, these lawsuits. I think it was Dominion or one of them like that. One of these vote counting machine companies that can connect to the internet and won't share their source code and their algorithms, and they claim it's proprietary. But trust us. No. They had that case. But then Fox goes, well, you know what? We're just going to admit defeat, and we're going to pay you like $2 quadrillion, and we're going to fire our number one guy. Are we okay now? All right, we're okay. I bet you they never paid anything. They just wanted to admit public guilt because you can't question a vote tabulation machine. Yes, I can, and yes, I will. Don't tell me what I can and can't do. I'd rather look on a piece of paper and see what did somebody do and say, oh, just trust us. We'll deliver the results. I'm not trusting you at all. Zero. That's not one company. It's all of yous. All they had to do was continue proving their case. Then they admitted, or at least claimed publicly, that the Fox anchors knew that President Trump lost the election, but they were misreporting it anyway. Okay, where are the lawsuits to shut down MSNBC and CNN, by the way? If that's the protocol that we're using, if those are the criteria that we're working with, yeah, shut them down. Also, who in their right mind could watch 2020 and think that it came out accurately? For countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and visit cisa.gov/rumor control. For countervailing views, because they will have you believe 2020 was the only free and fair election in the history of elections. Joe Biden totally got 81 million absolutely legitimate votes. Although, how many of those votes disappeared the next year? The next 4-year presidential cycle. Did they get 81 million again then? No, didn't they? Almost as if the vote tallies didn't accurately reflect what happened, and massive mail-in ballots and all of the efforts documented in the Time magazine article about fortifying the 2020 election, and all of the hundreds of millions of dollars given by Mark Zuckerberg to install drop boxes in the biggest blue cities in the most important key swing states so that unverified, unrecorded, insecure drop boxes could become the receptacle for the means of, maybe swaying an election, perhaps. Anyway, they tanked that case. They didn't have to, and they threw Tucker away. Tucker's the number one name. How do you get rid of him? Well, Fox is the deep state. Fox is in on it. Yeah, they have a couple good shows and a couple good anchors. Yeah, always have. But you can't trust them. You can trust them to do what Chris Wallace did in the 2020 debates with President Trump and former Vice President Biden. They repeated the fine people hoax about President Trump, and I was done with Fox. Done. How dare you lead with that scam, lead with that lie, lead with that fake news, lead with that libel, lead with that slander. How dare you, Fox? Yeah, Tucker has been pretty great, David. And Fox threw him out. So I don't trust Fox. All right. Here's allegedly what the Ukrainian drone attack in Russia was about.
Engineers designed a clever drone launching system disguised as ordinary wooden cabins mounted on the backs of cargo trucks. These mobile containers looked like simple rural sheds, but inside they held reinforced structures, hidden launch platforms, battery charging stations, and remote-controlled roof mechanisms. The design allowed for drones to be launched either vertically or at an angle, depending on their type, while built-in signal shielding helped them avoid early detection by Russian surveillance. Once these mobile silos were ready, Ukrainian intelligence operatives, possibly with help from local sympathizers, moved them deep into Russian territory. The trucks were quietly driven to pre-selected sites near key airbases, parked in places like forests, farms, or industrial areas where they blended into the landscape. They remained dormant for days or even weeks, with drones preloaded, charged, and waiting for the command to strike. When the time came, encrypted activation signals were sent remotely. The roofs of the containers slid open and the drones lifted off, some vertically, others using ramps or compressed air launch systems for a silent start. Because the launch sites were positioned just a few kilometers around 2 miles from their targets, the drones were able to reach their objectives quickly, leaving little time for Russian defenses to react. Operators guided them in real time using live video feeds, steering the drones with precision toward parked aircraft. Ukrainian engineers designed a clever drone launching system.
So that's allegedly what happened. Was the U.S. behind it? I mean, you know, it's been a proxy war this whole time. It's interesting. There's your Trojan horse right there. By the way, the Diddy trial. Look at this. Hang on, let me go back. Witness reveals Mike Myers' secret ties to the CIA. Mike Myers and the CIA people. Austin Powers.
Well, it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world known as the Pentaverate.
The Pentaverate. I started watching this. I didn't finish it. I need to go back and watch it.
Who run everything in the world, including the newspapers.
Oh, you mean 5 wealthy families run the newspapers?
And meet tri-annually at a secret country mansion in Colorado known as the Meadows.
So who's in this Pentaverate?
The Meadows. Yeah. Yeah, that's Bohemian Grove. The Meadows. Bohemian Grove. I heard stories of Bohemian Grove. Cell phones nailed to trees if you were caught bringing a cell phone in. Oh, I got stories for days on that one. Actually, that's the gist of it, really.
The Queen, the Vatican, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders before he went tits up.
And Colonel Sanders before he went tits up. Now that's... Colonel Sanders? How did he get in this mess? Colonel Sanders?
Oh, I hated the Colonel with his wee beady eyes.
His wee beady eyes.
And that smug look on his face. Oh, you're gonna buy my chicken. Oh.
So he's a CIA asset? Is that what's going on?
Oh.
Dad, how can you hate the Colonel?
Because he puts an addictive chemical in his chicken that makes you crave it fortnightly, smart-arse.
Puts an addictive chemical in it so that you crave it fortnightly. Fortnightly.
Interesting. Cuckoo.
All right, I got to watch the Pentaverate now. Yeah, it is really time for another Austin Powers. Right. Okay. AP says the Congressional Budget Office projects 10.9 million more people will be uninsured in 2034 due to healthcare changes from Trump's big bill. Well, we don't know that. Why aren't these people getting jobs? I mean, we don't know that they can't get jobs, right? I don't know. Some of these projections are, it's just kind of like, how would you know? Anyway, this estimate, here's some of the info to give it context, though. This estimate includes 1.4 million illegal aliens currently being insured at your expense. The AP left that part out of the headline, didn't they? You'd have to read the article to understand that. And that's part of the problem with this big, beautiful bill. It's too confusing. I mean, We don't really know what's going on. It's almost too big to make sense. And by almost, it probably just is too big to make sense. Raging West. I don't know if this is AI or actual video. I got to ask that every time, but they're saying this is 300,000 Polish patriots on the street declaring Poland as a Christian nation. Britain and the rest of Europe must take note and follow Poland. We're actually at the phase now where it's going to become really hard to discern reality from fiction, AI versus real. I don't know what they're singing. But Poland trying to fix their country, dealing with the invasion all across Europe. All right, now we're getting into Jack Posobiec. Yes, I was on with Jack Posobiec last year. And oh, here we go. I would like to talk to him again. He says, there's no way the CIA didn't know about these multiple Ukraine operations with Russia. There's no way. Jack is keyed into this universe big time. He says, there is no way CIA didn't know about these multiple Ukraine operations with Russia. And the White House says that they were not aware. Are elements of the U.S. intelligence community working to undermine our president's peace agenda? It's time to round up the traitors. This has gone on for far too long. Yeah, a peace agenda sounds good. The deep state wants nonstop carnage. Check this out. Fox News says ICE storms a cartel-run nightclub arresting 72 migrants, including a murder suspect.
Hands up! Don't move!
Including a Honduran fugitive wanted for homicide, according to DHS.
Hands up! Hands up!
All right. That's pretty inspiring, huh? All right. Let's try to follow this story here. I'm going to let them explain it. Yes, see post. There we go.
In a 7 News exclusive, Nick has the video that started it all.
All right. Title IX allegations. And this is... okay, still not telling us exactly where, but let's try.
7 News obtained the video at the heart of Loudoun County Public Schools.
Loudoun County Stonebridge High School. What state?
Title IX investigation into 3 boys accused of sexual harassment of a female student.
3 boys accused of harassing a female student.
That student identifies as a boy and has been using the boys' locker room facilities. She took this video in school.
She took this video or he took this video? You get into this tortured language. She's a he, he's a she. What? it gets almost impossible to follow, but I think they're doing a decent job of explaining it so far.
The female student turns on her camera and walks into the boys' locker room at Stonebridge High School. Most of the video is dark, but you can hear locker room sounds and boys' voices. This is the moment some of the boys in the locker room realize the female student is there. 30 seconds later, you hear this.
Why is there a girl? I'm so uncomfortable with a girl. Female, bro. Get out of here.
That's when the female student appears to take the phone out of her pocket and aims the camera at the boys.
Oh, aha, gotcha. Ooh, gotcha. Get out of the wrong locker room, lady.
In the locker room. Shortly after that, the video ends. I spoke to the parents whose sons are under investigation.
Under investigation? Investigate why the girl's in the boys' locker room. I'm telling you, this upside down stuff is got to stabilize. I will admit, though, this might be the first case of it being this direction. Usually it's mediocre males pretending to be females going into their locker rooms to creep on them, to spy on them, to record them, to soak it all up, to get their kicks, to go compete against them and run faster in a track meet. Haha, I'm so good. I beat girls. To fight them in MMA and abuse them. Hey, look, I punched girls. I'm so good at... But this is like the first where a girl has gone into the guys' locker room and messed with them.
I don't even think the Title IX investigation is justified.
The parents are mystified and angry, demanding to know what exactly in this video justifies their sons being formally investigated for sexual harassment.
You know, so much of this is driven by angry, bitter people seeking vengeance. Oh, you don't accept me pretending to be a boy? Aha, I'm gonna get ya. I mean, years ago it was, well, you're gonna bake me a cake as fast as you can. Bake me a cake, baker man. Oh, you're not? You're not a fan of my same-sex marriage? I shall destroy your bakery. Go to a bakery that wants your money. What is wrong with you? No, I must seek vengeance, for my perspective on life is the only perspective that matters. Tolerance. You must tolerate and tolerate everybody, except the Christian baker that doesn't want to participate in your thing. Yes, no tolerance for those who are intolerant to me. It's not tolerance then. Never was.
Loudoun County Public Schools.
It's been about vindictive actions, agenda pushing, power.
Absolutely failed these children, every single one of them, including the complainant. And they need to take ownership of it.
I have a daughter that's in high school as well. And if there was a male in there videotaping her in the locker room, I would have issues. If it's my son and there's a female in the locker room videotaping him, I have issues.
Loudoun County Public Schools policy prohibits any kind of recording in locker rooms. But in an email to...
Yeah, right there. Now you're busted for recording people in locker rooms, aren't you? Well, let's see if anything comes of that.
Parents, school officials said the video the girl recorded does not show his son in a compromising situation or...
It didn't say in a compromising situation. It says no video taken in locker rooms for obvious reasons.
Quote, violate his privacy in any way.
Oh my Lord, how do you reach that conclusion?
I believe that is an invasion of their privacy.
This father tells 7 News LCPS refused to show him the video and the beginning of his son's Title IX meeting. He said the LCPS investigator peppered his son with questions the dad believes were intended to bully him into admitting to something he didn't do.
They didn't show us the video until after they had tried to get my son to say who said what and all this kind of stuff. But then once we saw the video, then we started asking about those context questions and how that could be left out. and they didn't really have a good answer for that.
I asked Superintendent Aaron Spence and all 9 school board members about this case. Only board member Dina Griffiths responded, saying, quote, recognizing biological differences isn't discriminatory. It's common sense, and it's essential for protecting the dignity and safety of all children.
Oh, it sounds like she's the common sense one.
In a 7 News exclusive, Nick has the video that started it all.
Harassment. She's the one harassing the boys. Go to your space in the girls' room, lady. Kenneth on that last, the illegal alien nightclub. Big, beautiful bust. That was a big, beautiful bust. Although, that could be taken a different way if there's a different story. All right. Fox News reporting here that Michael Lucci says this. Allowing communist China to buy up land near our critical assets is a national security risk, plain and simple. And Governor Katie Hobbs is substantively and completely wrong. She's facing backlash, ripped as a total disgrace after vetoing a bill aimed at restricting Chinese land ownership near U.S. military bases. Impeach this traitor, Katie. All right, President Trump chiming in on what's going on in the world because he's trying to stop a war. Yeah, there was Panic at the Disco. Here, let me go full screen so you can read this. President Trump says, I just finished speaking by telephone with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attacks on the airfields. We also discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out on Iran's decision pertaining to nuclear weapons, which must be made quickly. I stated to President Putin that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and on this, I believe that we are in agreement. President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It is my opinion that Iran has been slow-walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. I'm going to add thank you for your attention to this matter button. Those that get it are going to get that and crack up. All right, President Trump trying to work for peace, but he's got a deep state who loves war. Feelings, nothing more than feelings. Ah. Anyway, Jack Posobiec says, Mike Pompeo, former head of the CIA, rejected by Trump, appears in Ukraine to interfere in the peace talks. Suddenly, Ukraine makes massive intelligence-driven strikes deep within Russia the same weekend. They're not even hiding what they're doing. So what happens next? Where are the military tribunals? Who's really running America? I mean, we are at an inflection point. We are at a crucial intersection here. When those nukes start dropping, it's there is okay. So many thoughts happening at once. I'm just trying to silence them to speak one of them. To anyone out there who said, "Oh, there's a plan. Oh, trust the plan. Oh, you know." We got to wait for this. We got to wait for that. We got to wait for this. We got to wait for that. No. This is it. Go now. Go now with what you have. Unleash the hounds. Unleash the hounds. Go. Go now. this slow walking of justice, it ain't helping any of us. David saying that Trump is always working. He's nonstop working. He's always working. And a couple of clowns are like, can you believe he's playing golf? Yeah, he owns golf courses. He golfs to stay in shape. And he gets deals done out on the golf course. I think he blew up a Somali warlord while golfing and then tweeting about it. Like, I imagine hating this president who's doing so much. Not everything's perfect. He's trying. It's the best effort I've seen. Certainly the best effort I've seen in a while. So Jack Posobiec is very concerned about what's happening now. All right, HSI, Homeland Security. What's the I? Homeland Security arresting 28 illegal aliens with a criminal history and prior removals.
This large group of illegal immigrants is locked up after they were arrested today on Dauphin Island Parkway.
Where's Dauphin Island Parkway? Fox 10. Oh, Alabama, Mobile, Alabama.
According to the Mobile County Sheriff's
And yes, there's random music in the background. Don't put a copyright claim on this, YouTube. This is covered under fair use.
Office, 28 illegal aliens were traveling in vans when they were pulled over for traffic violations. Steve Schrank, special agent in charge for HSI in Georgia and Alabama, says they look at these arrests from a public safety standpoint.
Many had prior removals, had criminal history.
Fox 10 News has been covering these raids and arrests for months. We've learned construction sites are a big target for federal investigators to make arrests. Schrank says businesses that hire illegal aliens will be held accountable and could face civil fines and even criminal penalties. He says HSI, FBI, and other government agencies are going after illegal immigrants who have a violent history. One of those arrested in Mobile County includes Ruben Serrano Sierra, who according to court documents is a Mexican citizen, an aggravated felon, and an active member of the Los Pesas Mexican street gang who has been deported twice.
We have really taken the early focus on immigration enforcement over the past few months to focus on the worst of the worst. The men and women of federal law enforcement across all of the interagency are out on the street every single day conducting immigration enforcement and working to make America safer.
This large group of illegal immigrants is locked up after they were arrested today on Dauphin Island Parkway.
Well, bravo. I'll just put bravo button. Thank you for that. Thank you. 300 Guns here reminds us Republicans better realize there are 80 million Trump supporters, not 80 million GOP supporters. There is a very big difference. Very big difference. Scott Pressler saying the same thing. We're all saying the same thing. Ignore at your own peril, people. Ignore at your own peril. All right, let's run through our Twitter feed. Oh, I'm sorry. It's called X. It's called X. Is it? Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeed. We showed you this. Bomb threat on the airliner. Okay. Can't verify Jack Dorsey endorsed Rand Paul, Thomas Massey presidential ticket of 28. Looks like he did retweet it, but that's different than an endorsement. It's just like, hey, there's an idea. You know, a retweet doesn't equal an endorsement, but, you know. I think this is the post that Jack reposted. So, I mean, it's a post. It's not an official. If you're out there saying, yes, I want that. The comment. So it's going to be Pompeo and Graham. Yeah, the opposite of Paul Massey. All right, Polymath says this is where the trap is souring. The Democrats' outrage machine has given the story legs and visibility. The right can leverage that. Oh, hold on. Well, this is about Harvey Milk. 33-year-old Harvey Milk was sleeping with teenage boys. And the fact that they named a Navy ship after this guy was always a massive scandal because the powerful elites knew exactly what kind of person Milk was. Okay. That was trending yesterday. Talking about maybe changing the names of some assets. Okay, here's UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres talking about X and other platforms.
Digital platforms are being misused.
Digital platforms are being misused
to subvert science and spread disinformation.
Subvert science and spread disinformation. Look, when people want to use these buzzwords, you know they're lying. These buzzwords are bullshit. Scott Adams always says you don't need to know the story, you need to know the players. Once you know the players involved in the story, you go, okay, now I know what's going on here. So when you hear people running their mouths about disinformation and misinformation, it's like, shut up. You don't like that your narrative's being challenged. That's what that means.
And hate to...
Oh, and hate? Yeah, it's okay to hate evil. Nothing wrong with hate. Yeah, well, you can't hate certain people. You can hate any person. Doesn't make you good, doesn't make you bad. Hate is a cancer. It's best to not hold on to too much of that, but this is all an effort to control the narrative. Make no mistake.
Billions of people. This clear and present global threat demands clear and coordinated global action.
Yeah, they think there are global leaders. They run the globe, not our sovereign nations. You must respect our authority. How about no?
Our policy brief on information integrity on digital platforms puts forward a framework for a concerned international response.
Okay, this is what I talked about earlier. I asked to double check. Did Elon say defund the UN? Oh, yeah, in no uncertain terms. And look, Elon Musk is back to being Elon Musk. What's his picture of? Grok to understand. Defund the UN. Here, look, we're streaming live. That's pretty cool. Elon posted concerns about the budget. Let's listen to this. 60 Minutes was this Geiger Capital. Take a listen.
The U.S. is on an unsustainable fiscal path. The U.S. federal government's on an unsustainable fiscal path. And that just means that the debt is growing faster than the economy.
I have the sense this worries you very much.
Over the long run, of course it does. You know, we're borrowing from future generations. It's time for us to get back to putting a priority on fiscal sustainability. And sooner is better than later. The U.S. is on an unsustainable fiscal path. The U.S. federal government's.
It is legitimately unsustainable. Elon says this immense level of overspending will drive America into debt slavery. Dr. Simone Gold talking about Moderna and Pfizer admitting that the shots are genetic therapies, turning your body into an mRNA factory, pumping out spike proteins, possibly forever. She has concerns about it. Watch this video. Tony Segura says the deep state looks at President Trump's orders as just words. Army Black Hawk pilot faces a discharge after refusing an mRNA shot despite Trump's reinstatement order. After 2 decades of service, okay. Switching back. There we go. After 2 decades of service, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Brandon Budge, is being forced out of the Army for rejecting an experimental mRNA shot even after President Trump's executive order. That can't be right. At Grok. Is this true? Well, keep your eyes peeled. All right, Richard Woodruff saying, for all those saying only 3 planes were blown up in Operation Spider's Web, I've got a whole load of exclusive new videos for you from the SBU never seen before. And they have music that I'll have to mute. So these are all videos of drones in this drone strike going to the Russian airbase, exploding onto these aircraft at a time when they were trying to push for peace. But that's no longer the case. And this is the future of warfare. Drone, 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 drone. The band Muse was making videos. They have a song called Reapers, about the Reaper drone. And it's about running and chasing. And while someone is playing a video game, you know, they got the drone and they're just chasing you everywhere you're going and they take you out. You know, this is warfare now. It's sort of creepy. It's sort of terrifying. They go and they find their mark and they explode or they shoot. Anyway, we could watch this for a while or, you know, skip around, but this is footage showing what that attack was like, allegedly. These planes have tires on them. What does that mean, that planes have tires on them? It's adding weight and holding them down. It's disguising them. They're decommissioned. Like, what does that even... What does it mean? Anyway, it's interesting video. I guess what? When the drone stops communicating, that's when it's exploding. I guess there's, because you're not really seeing a lot of the impact. Seeing some smoke there. Okay, more smoke there. Okay. All right, now you see things burning. All right, showing some chaos, and Putin's saying, "I got to respond to this. We're not putting up with this." And thus continues the GD war. Was hoping for peace, but Lindsey Graham and Mike Pompeo are getting their way. I don't understand it. Kedar says Ukraine forces blew up the Kerch Bridge connecting Russia to Crimea at dawn yesterday using drones and underwater explosives. The SBU chief Vasyl Malyuk has indicated that this bridge used by the Russian army was a legitimate target. Here you go. Ukraine wants Crimea back. Crimea voted to go into Russia. They're not going to stop until they try to get Crimea back. Crimea's been gone. The people don't want to be in a separate state of Ukraine. They want to be in Russia. Are the people not allowed to choose where they align? According to the deep state, no. Okay, no music, please. That's the bridge blowing up. Allegedly. Some carnage from that. So that's what's happening, in escalation. For all you gamers out there, Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be out tomorrow, I believe. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Nintendo Switch 2 footage, putting through frame rate analysis if you're into like all the geeky stuff. How's it look? Frame rate analysis. I don't know. All you gamers out there. Yep, lots of big gaming news happening. There's the unboxing for Nintendo. All right. Hey, check this story out. This is a weird one. How do you feel about this? New York Post reports that Gabby Thomas calls out a weirdo heckler who was bragging on a social media post.
That's right, Gabby. Come on, Gabby. Don't choke, Gabby, like you did yesterday, Gabby. Yeah. You a choke artist. You going down, Gabby.
You're a choke artist. You're going down, Gabby.
You going down, Gabby. You going down, Gabby. We're doing it for Track Spice. Okay, Track Spice in the house. Come on, Melissa. Melissa got married this year. Got a black husband. Gabby got a white guy.
What?
That's right, Gabby. Track Spice.
I guess it's a black guy doing this?
Okay, Track Spice in the house. Come on, Melissa. Melissa got married this year. Got a black husband. Gabby got a white guy. I want Melissa to win.
Oh, so he's racist against white people too. Yeah, I do not like this guy.
Come on, Gabby. You know what time it is. Track Spice in the house. Come on, Oregon. Jaden Mays, the finest thing out there. Jaden Mays thinks she fine. She thinks she cute.
All right. I wanted to show you this because the story is this guy who's doing the yelling put $1,000 on a FanDuel bet. Bet on this Melissa Jefferson Wooden. I don't know. I can't really break down plus 313, minus 170. What are all the, I don't know. A 4-leg parlay. So this dude says, I made Gabby lose by heckling her, and it made my parlay win. So in response, FanDuel has said that it bans the customer who posts on social media that he heckled track star Gabby Thomas and it made my parlay win. FanDuel condemns in the strongest possible terms the abusive behavior toward athletes. Threatening or harassing athletes is unacceptable. And he didn't threaten her. He just was running his mouth. The customer is no longer able to wager with FanDuel. Yeah, you know, and the crypto, what's it called? The guys in the chat. Oh, and hello, Deb, by the way. What is the in the chat? What is the? I think I'm just going to look it up instead of axing. What is the name of the wagering site that tracks political outcomes? Not FanDuel. I'm not looking. I'm going to see if I can think of it. Not PolitiFact. Polymarket. There it is. Polymarket. So, yeah, I mean, if you're going to try to influence the outcome of a game, yeah, it's kind of messed up. And betting on it makes it kind of weird. Yeah, this grown man followed me around the track as I took pictures and signed autographs for kids. For fans who are mostly children, he's shouting personal insults. Anybody enabling him online is gross. That was just a weird, interesting story, I thought. Should he be... All right, here's the question. That guy who's trying to influence the outcome of that by heckling the person in the track meet, that person should be banned from track meets and banned from betting on FanDuel. That person should be banned from track meets and betting on FanDuel. Do you agree or disagree? All right, here is Dave Smith and his co-host. I'm forgetting his name. I got a picture with both of them. But they're talking about the budget and the big, beautiful bill.
And so for him to be up there and go, oh, yeah, I agree with all these people. I'm a hawk just as much as they are. But at the moment, we gotta spend more than we ever did. And I can't tell you when we're ever going to ramp that down or make the correction. But now's just not the time. Doesn't sound like you're a fiscal hawk, my friend.
As I've said before, Rob, if DC had a motto, it would be "Now's not the time." Now's never the time.
Unless
the
it's
only
more...
thing. Yes. Oh, yeah. When it comes to dropping bombs on innocent people,
the country for COVID.
Then it's always the time. It's almost always the time to drop bombs on innocent people. But yeah, I'll say this: you had Donald Trump winning every swing state and the popular vote. You had a major cultural shift, a major cultural awakening to the corruption of government. You had Doge come in, which was enormously popular, and it was exposing all types of government corruption. You have a Republican, you have a House and a Senate whose slim majorities, but have majorities filled up by Republicans who all go off all day long about how they're against big government and they're for fiscal sanity, just like the speaker here said. He's a fiscal hawk. Now is the time. Now might be the only time. Now is the best time. It's the best goddamn shot we'd have to actually have some meaningful reduction in the size and scope in government. And the reason why we're not having that is because Mike Johnson loves big government, and Donald Trump loves big government, and the entire Republican establishment love big government. That's why we're going to continue to have big government. And don't let them fool you with any of this other bullshit. Sorry. Look, and to the entire MAGA movement, we're either just like the fucking Democrats or we're not. We're either in a cult as well, where one day we'll repeat the line, yes, sharp as a tack. Joe Biden is sharp as a tack. Joe Biden's so old and senile that Kamala Harris has to run. Yes, Kamala Harris is hope and joy. Yeah, like we're either cult members like them or we're fucking independent critical thinkers who are allowed to tell the truth. And the truth is that this was the absolute best time to actually cut some government spending.
It is. But like I said, Trump is inheriting an absolute clusterfuck from 16 years of Obama. Yes, the 4 years of Biden were Obama and his ilk, and the 4 years of Trump in his first term were undermined by Obama and the deep state trying to take him out in every way imaginable. The amount of money laundering, the gold bars thrown off the Titanic, as they say, that's occurred in the past 16 years, there is a lot of deferred maintenance. When I took over in my homeowners association, it was mismanaged. You could say that. The previous president felt it was important to keep the rates low, keep the monthly payments low. Right. We all want that. But if they're so low that you don't have a reserve fund that can paint the buildings, replace the roofs, fix the plumbing, repair the driveways, and do all the things necessary to maintain the complex, then the numbers are too low. And they kept the numbers too low for too long, and it had a cumulative or an accumulated pileup of responsibilities and repairs. President Trump has to get us ready to get all these illegal alien sleeper cells out of the country. protect this country for what's coming. Europe is ready to go to war. Keir Starmer was just saying that about how much they're investing into England. Like, it seems like the war is going to be inevitable. Putin and Zelensky don't want to stop it. Trump's trying, but he can't do it for them. So reluctantly, then maybe what needs to happen is turn this into a 2-year bill and say, all right, look, I know there have been concerns about me overspending in year 1. Here's what maybe pass our year 2 budget. Do 1 year and a second year. Although they're saying this stuff is 10 years out, it gets complicated. The whole thing gets complicated. What is the plan to get rid of this $36 trillion of debt? What is it? What is the plan? Because we can't survive it. We're past the point of bankruptcy. So, with all these Doge cuts, that's fine. But, if you listen to Dave Ramsey, he'll talk all the time about you have a spending problem or you have an income problem. Well, we don't really have an income problem. We have a spending problem. Raise your hand if you know somebody in your life that has a spending problem, even though they don't have an income problem. Doesn't matter how much you make if you're spending more. So something's got to give. But on the flip side, I get why President Trump wants to get to work and get some of this stuff repaired and get us prepared.
And the reason it's not happening is because almost no one in the Republican Party actually believes in that. And it's clear to see. There's a few people, Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, I'll even give what's his name, who they mentioned here, Ron Johnson. Okay, he's not quite as much of a hawk as I'd like him to be, but at least those guys do to
a deficit hawk, not a war hawk.
Some degree believe
Lindsey Graham is a war hawk
in cutting the size and scope of government. The rest of them simply don't. And you're gonna call this thing a big, beautiful bill. It's just disgusting. And I'm sorry, what Mike Johnson is saying here is it's an insult to all of our intelligence.
So there you go. Yeah, we never trusted Mike Johnson. Cut the damn budget. Here is Mike Johnson reacting to what Elon has to say. Elon is not too thrilled. Elon sacrificed so much to try to help, and it's like they're just spitting in his eye.
On Monday, he made this 180. What do you think changed? Why do you think he's coming out against this now? And have you spoken to the president and Elon since the infamous tweet?
Well, I'll tell you, I called Elon last night and he didn't answer, but I hope to talk to him today. I mean, it's not, it's very friendly and we've laughed about our differences on policy before. I'm not upset about this. And I just, I think he understands and he's acknowledged to me before that this is so serious that we can't fool around with it. I mean, the debt cliff is approaching very quickly, right? All the things that are in this bill are so important for the U.S. economy. It's going to be jet fuel for the U.S. economy. All boats are going to rise. And the sooner we do that, the better. And the risk of not getting it done is enormous, not just for the Republican Party, but for the country. We got to do this. We're going to have the largest tax increase in U.S. history at the end of the year if we fail, and all the other calamities that we've talked about. So we've got to get it done. And I think Elon understands the weight of that, and I hope he comes around. I'd love to talk to him this week and hope he calls him back today.
He's a fast talker, isn't he? Here he is again.
Yeah, let me say this. It's very disappointing. Okay, I've come to consider Elon a good friend. He's obviously a very intelligent person, and he's done a lot of great work. With all due respect, my friend Elon is terribly wrong about the one big beautiful bill. Yeah,
Well, we're saying go back to the drawing board and actually reduce spending, Mike. This is madness. I mean, I'm torn on this. I'm really torn on this. Something I'm not torn on is Eric Swalwell. Take a listen to this stuff.
Did the Chinese spy scandal hurt your credibility, or did Republicans just weaponize like a nothing burger, so to speak?
The fact that the FBI and the House Ethics Committee said it was bullshit, like I would hope that would be enough, but like in a disinformation society, like I recognize that it's everyone on the right's favorite meme. My wife tells me all the time, you know what? The second they're not going after you, you're not effective. And so I wear it as a badge of honor that these guys would want to lie about me all the time, because I think it means that I'm landing punches politically on them that sting. And frankly, I think a lot of Republicans look at me as like, oh, that's a straight, white, Christian male, son of a cop. Like everyone else like him looks like me. So when he comes at me, it's more betrayal to them. Like I've heard that from them on their side, that's why they take it so personally. So I'm not going away, and they can say what they want and the death threats will come. But if they think I'm going to drop my lawsuit from January 6th against the president, or if I regret being an impeachment manager.
Impeachment manager, J6 fraud. This guy's at the center of all of the garbage.
Or if I'm not going to like go out and work my ass off to help us win the midterms. Like
You're not winning the midterms. Nobody's voting Democrat. None of the cool kids are voting Democrat.
Like I'm not going away. I came from nothing. I was raised by a cop who did the right thing. Like to me, I'm playing with the house's money, so to speak. And so this is just a right or wrong mission for me.
You get a lot of push.
All right, so let's ask X. There is no definitive evidence that Representative Eric Swalwell had a sexual relationship with Christine Fang, also known as Fang Fang, a suspected Chinese intelligence operative. Axios reported in 2020 that Fang targeted Swalwell and other politicians between 2011 and 2015, engaging in fundraising for his 2014 campaign and helping place an intern in his office. The FBI briefed Swalwell in 2015 about her activities, after which he immediately cut ties with her. Authorities have not accused Swalwell of any wrongdoing, and he's denied sharing sensitive information with Fang. Claims about a sexual relationship stem from an unverified allegation, notably amplified by Fox News host Tucker Carlson, who stated in 2020 that U.S. intelligence officials believed Swalwell had a sexual relationship with Fang, though Axios did not report this. Swalwell's office declined to comment on these claims, citing potential classified information. Oh, that's okay. What? That's a yes or a no. Like, what classified? What's classified about banging a spy? Posts on X, including from figures like MTG and others, repeated these allegations, but they lack substantiation from credible sources. The House Ethics Committee investigated Swalwell's interactions with Fang from 21 to 23 and concluded, without taking further action, finding no evidence of violations. Swalwell has maintained his innocence, emphasizing his cooperation with the FBI. Without concrete evidence, claims of a sexual relationship remain speculative. Okay. Well, hasn't been proven, I guess. I thought that was, I thought it was proven. Okay. Here is Democrat Rep. Laura Friedman admitting about 70 House Democrats are involved in a what? Is this treason? What is this exactly?
Every single week, we have a litigation working group where a large group of us, and I'm talking there's maybe 75 members of the House, sit down every single week with the AGs to talk about legal strategy. This is all going on every single week behind the scenes. It is nonstop talk, nonstop introduction of bills and legislation, nonstop being on social media as much as we can without being throttled and without the crazy analytics, and doing all these things. Every single week, we have a litigation working group where a large group of us, and I'm talking there's maybe 75 members of the House, sit down every single week.
Kyle Becker says these are the same people who plotted to fortify the 2020 election. Take this seriously. Yeah. Take it very seriously. Alex is saying that a Soros-funded leftist attack on ICE agents after they attempted to save children from sex slavery in Minneapolis, Minnesota today.
A group right here trying to block the police from leaving once again. They threw out a bunch of garbages. Now people are trying to create a line out here to stop ICE and FBI.
That's your city.
So get the fuck out! Fuck you! No, fuck you! Fuck you!
Move on right now! Hey, back up!
What I don't get is why they're not just tagging and bagging these people. Why aren't they arresting them? Zip time to a lamppost. Come get them. Call in reinforcements.
So these people are putting up a pretty strong wall here. They're not letting deal. The police are obviously retaliating. People are pushing back at the police, showing no respect towards the police. People are upset because the ICE did come through here and they did take some illegal immigrants out of here, of the city.
This is how the sheriff works.
You don't know
Push it through.
Fucking dumb fucker.
Push it through.
Push it through.
Go back to Oak River, you pieces of shit. Back, bye, Mike. Bye back.
Look, you had this guy taunting and messing with the police. He's gotten thrown a few times by the police. And he's keeping on going back to him, too. This guy right here just got pushed by the police after he's pushing at them. Police threw him down, and he keeps going after him.
Yeah, bunch of goofballs. Hey, so do you have Nest in your home? Take a listen to this.
Okay, so about 6 years ago or so, Google bought Nest.
Right.
Now, some people know that, but what they don't know is that about a year or two later, some what do I call myself? Some idiot professor type pulled apart one of the new Nest thermostats that they were selling and found that they had put a microphone into it without telling anybody. Now, around the same time that they're installing microphones into
Wait. This was the one that you purchased?
Ken, the saying is that Deb from Saks says, Ken, yeah, listening in. Well, they're listening in on your Nest device.
No, this is another professor type, another lunatic like me
purchased a Nest
to investigate it, to find out why. The question at the time was, why would Google be so interested in Nest?
Yeah.
Well, the reason they were interested is because it gets put in people's homes, and they were submitting patent applications at the time for new methods of analyzing sounds within the home.
Analyzing sounds within the home. People, it's too much. We need to have sanctuaries. We need to have like little black boxes or something. Toss all your devices in where you can have a safe, private home. We are moving the opposite direction way too fast, I think. Oh, okay, here's the video I was telling you about earlier. Palantir CEO Alex Karp tells CNBC what his company's software did in Europe. I am officially 100% out on Palantir's involvement in the United States. Here's why. Watch.
Look, we built PG, which single-handedly stopped the rise of the far right in Europe.
Okay. When he says the rise of the far right in Europe, hi Nimbus, he means the right. He means the non-globalists. He means people. Alexa knows my shame. When people say far right, they mean conservatives, libertarians, Republicans, nationalists. Like these are Nimbus. No, don't step on that. They say far right. They just mean us, normal people. So his company single-handedly kept normal people from governing Europe. Play this for you one more time. I'll just let it play through this.
Look, we built PG, which single-handedly stopped the rise of the far right in Europe. We built Foundry, which was used to distribute the COVID vaccine and saved millions of lives globally.
Oh, really?
We built what we call multi-constellation, and what's often called the digital kill chain. And they're category-defining products. So when you deliver these products to the market, just honestly, people say this isn't going to exist, this isn't valuable, but then it changes the market. And then the market is the Palantir market. Now, that doesn't mean everyone in the world is going to buy our product, but it means most of the sensible people in the world are going to buy from the category we defined. Look.
Yeah. Yeah. We said, okay, well, the term far right just refers to ordinary, awesome people who prioritize their country. This video is all we needed to see, and now we'll officially oppose Palantir's involvement in the American database system in any manner. Stop the far left, because he's the far left. No thanks. Take that stuff out of here. Oh, geez. Killdozer's trending. You know what that means. That's Uncle Ted. Oh, is this? Oh, it's Killdozer Day. Here, let me share this one instead. Marvin Heemeyer had a muffler shop in Granby, Colorado. One day, the city council approved the construction of a concrete factory that would ruin his business. When he protested, Nimbus, stop. Come on, you're knocking all my shit over. Don't. When he protested, the city began a campaign of harassment and fines. Instead of accepting his fate, Heemeyer outfitted his massive Komatsu bulldozer with armored plates and a layer of concrete. Like a phoenix from the ashes of his ruined livelihood, he then drove through the town in a rampage, targeting everyone who had screwed him over. Marvin's last written message, I was always willing to be reasonable until I had to be unreasonable. Sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things. Here, no, Nimbus, don't step on my... Nimbus, you're the killdozer of my show. You're the killdozer of my show. You're just banging around. You see that? That was timing, wasn't it? Okay, I thought I switched to share. Where is it now? This one. So here's the video of Marvin exacting revenge.
A bulldozer levels a building in Granby, Colorado. Then another.
They've got music playing in the
part of a meticulously planned citywide demolition project.
And what was the bulldozer went crazy?
But this plan wasn't put together by city engineers or construction workers.
Just received a 911 call reporting that there is an out-of-control bulldozer.
It's the brainchild of an angry man with a grudge against a lot of local people and businesses.
They can't tell who's driving it, but there is someone inside.
The man inside this armor-plated bulldozer is Marv Heemeyer. As horrified townspeople run for their lives, Heemeyer wrecks buildings and vehicles one after another.
So we do have a dozer that's completely armored and it is tearing down buildings.
Hopefully they're not going to flag this because of music, but we're showing you what happened this day when people get pushed too far.
And he's ready to take on sheriff's deputies.
It's a Discovery clip kind of giving you, yeah, this footage is
or
wild.
Anybody else who stands in his way.
This is a bad situation, guys. We might need a SWAT team.
You might need a SWAT team. Yeah, that's a special weapon and a tactic.
There's an accomplished welder who spent a lot of time inside a secret workshop.
Yeah, it's all encased in metal, and you can't see who's driving or anything.
This is the killdozer. Yeah, like a Nimbus in a China shop. Nimbus. He's a bus. This footage is just wild.
There, he outfitted the dozer with 2 sheets of half-inch steel plating with a layer of concrete in between.
What type do you need? The biggest armor-piercing ammunition he has.
On this day, he seals himself in and takes off on a violent ride. Inside his cockpit, 2 assault rifles, lots of ammo, and video monitors to help him see where he's going. A bank, a hardware store, a concrete factory, even the town hall.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you don't want to push good people too far. Everybody has a breaking point. I was just dealing with a family member who had a problem with eminent domain. They wanted to put a connection to the freeway right into this established neighborhood. Took 2 years of fighting this to get it to stop. 2 years. And if it wouldn't have stopped, you know, you wonder how far people can get pushed as we watch this killdozer thing.
And especially the police department.
I mean, he had a plan. Look at him.
The one thing all of those places have in common, Heemeyer feels he has been wronged by these businesses or the people who own them. He even exacts revenge on the home of the town's former mayor.
I mean, was the mayor involved with ruining his company?
Does have armor-piercing weaponry.
Deputies and SWAT teams try everything. But even armor-piercing bullets can't penetrate Marv Heemeyer's homemade metal and concrete shield.
If you want to try to box him in.
At one point, a heavy equipment operator decides to put a stop to the carnage. He climbs behind the wheel of his front-end loader.
What would you do? Would you jump in to try to help? Or would you stay the heck away?
And get set to take.
This is like a dinosaur coming back to just tear through your playground.
On the armored bulldozer. But quickly, the operator finds himself in an industrial-sized game of chicken. Heemeyer speeds ahead, aiming directly for the blockage. Realizing his intentions, the loader attempts to flee, but the armored dozer gives chase. Ramming the tractor off its path, it steams ahead to
This is just wild.
Its next target. Authorities seize the narrow opportunity, using the front loader truck to block the dozer in. The civilian operator hurries to safety. Forced to continue ahead, Heemeyer pushes his creation to the limit.
I think we're getting close to the end here.
The bulldozer grinds to a halt under the rubble of a steel building. Its engine has called it quits.
Oh.
As authorities try to get into the cab of his homemade tank, Marv Heemeyer takes his own life. It takes officers several hours and a cutting torch to finally get inside the cab. None of the townspeople are hurt, but the
nobody being hurt is, you know, you see this Luigi story. It's like nobody likes health insurance companies because what you're supposed to do is find out what is ailing the person and give them the best treatment that you can. Well, it costs money. Figure it out. Just figure it out. Try to get people as healthy and productive as you can. Just figure it out. Of course, Luigi took a life that day. This guy caused a ton of damage but didn't take a life.
Price tag on this rampage is about $7 million.
That's it? Only $7 million? I find that hard to believe. That was only $7 million worth of damage. Okay, that's why Killdozer was trending. Because that's what's happening today. That is the anniversary. What year was that again? June. It just says June 4th. Of 04. There we go. I think Megadeth used this footage in a video. I was always willing to be reasonable until I had to be unreasonable. Sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things. 21 years ago today. The older you get, the more you understand this man. Huh. Elon Musk has posted a... Oh, yeah. Elon says, kill the bill. Call your senator, call your congressman. Bankrupting America is not okay. All right, look. Elon's on the warpath now. He's going full anti-Trump, anti-MAGA, what the hell are you doing with this bill? President Calvin Coolidge once said, it is much more important to kill bad bills than to pass good ones. Actually, let me click on Elon's, because Kill Bill is trending. Oh, Elon posted. All right, this was Elon saying kill Bill. To kill the bill. Oh my God. And then there's Elon's face superimposed over Kill Bill, Volume 1. All right, it's got interesting. All right, Elon Musk says kill the bill. Do you agree or disagree? Elon was willing to be reasonable until they brought the big, beautiful bill up. Wow. All right. We're in it now. All right. Well, that's breaking. Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying this about the bill. She says, for full transparency, I didn't know about the section on pages 278 and 79 of the OBBB that strips states of the right to make laws or regulate AI for 10 years. I am adamantly opposed to this, and it is a violation of state rights, and I would have voted no had I known this was in there. We have no idea what AI will be capable of in the next 10 years, and giving it free rein and tying states' hands is potentially dangerous. This needs to be stripped out in the Senate. When the OBBB comes back to the House for approval after Senate changes, I will not vote for it with this in it. We should be reducing federal power and preserving state power, not the other way around. Especially with rapidly developing AI that even the experts warn they have no idea what it might be capable of. Arizona Democrat governor vetoes China land ban near military bases. Look at all these. Wright-Patterson in Ohio there. But does Arizona need to be liberated? How could the good people of Arizona have elected her and not removed her for treason by now? Something is very off in Arizona.
Another point of contention now with Beijing. The Department of Justice announcing that 2 Chinese nationals are now charged with smuggling a dangerous fungus into the country.
Now, smuggling fungus, agroterrorism.
That's potentially a bioweapon. FBI Director Kash Patel is saying, quote, smuggling a known agroterrorism agent into the U.S. is not just a violation of law, it's a direct threat to national security. Michael Singh's managing director of the Washington Institute. Michael, good morning to you. It's nice to see you again. Thank you for coming in today. Call for 2 guys. Here we go. If you develop this material, you can cause vomiting, liver damage, reproductive defects in humans and livestock. So I don't know what your read is, Michael, on this, but it appears to me that Customs and Border Patrol were on the lookout for this man and woman in Michigan. What do you think?
I shudder to think at how many terrorists, I shudder to think at how many people have infiltrated America now because of what Obama, Biden have done at the border.
Well, it certainly sounds that way, Bill, and it's frankly an important catch. I mean, it sounds as though, we have, something which is almost like a needle in a haystack, trying to find a pathogen coming into the United States, but really sort of just the type of thing which I think would terrify Americans, especially in the wake of the COVID pandemic. It sounds like what we're talking about here is a plant pathogen. In other words, something that would primarily affect crops and so forth. But it highlights this threat that we have seen, Bill. It's a multifaceted threat of U.S. adversaries really trying to figure out a way to, in the event of a conflict, go after the things that sustain us, whether that's water utilities, whether that's crops and livestock, whether that's sort of the power sector, and so forth. And there's no evidence that I've seen that that's what's happening here. But just the use of that term agro-terrorism highlights the risk that it entails.
Yeah, I would.
And so that's on the heels, of course, of Katie Hobbs vetoing a bill that would have banned China from buying Arizona land next to U.S. military bases. For what reason in the world would she be opposed to that? She's against everything that makes sense. It is so past time that we get rid of the worst actors in our government. Katie Hobbs needs to be investigated yesterday for ties to China. It's outrageous and dangerous. She said the bill would be ineffective and could lead to arbitrary enforcement of land purchase restrictions. Come on. Rhinos like Lindsey Graham, says the Glockford Files, and their Democrat friends are openly running a shadow government and subverting Trump's America First agenda. It seems a little bit like treason. Lindsey Graham needs to face a primary and be removed from office.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
President Trump said that Ukraine doesn't have good cards, but the world has a lot of cards against Russia. And one of those cards that we have is about to be played in the United States Senate. In America, you have more than one person at the card table.
You're right now not.
Wow. Yeah, what is the Logan Act all about? Why is he getting away with this? Elon posted this and said interest payments already consume 25% of all government revenue. If the massive deficit spending continues, though, there will only be money for interest payments and nothing else. No Social Security, no medical, no defense, nothing. Wall Street Maverick says our annual U.S. budget deficit is going to be over $2 trillion per year going forward. We pay over $100 billion a month in interest on the national debt. 1.2 trillion per year. That's insanity. This interest issue is insane. No more interest. Too much has been borrowed by other people. This is the perfect refinance window of opportunity. Pay this off and turn off the usury. Who exactly holds all this debt anyway? Is sort of my question. Please vote in our X poll. It's time for Major League Baseball to lift their blackball ban on Bauer outage. That's Trevor Bauer. So the Cy Young winner can pitch in the big leagues again. Agree or disagree? I agree. What about you? We had mixed votes in our Caitlin Clark question. 57% agreed that Caitlin Clark should leave the WNBA and start her own league. We said it remains to be seen if the league will protect Clark from unhinged attacks from bitter, nasty, jealous ladies who would rather injure Clark than see their league succeed. Charlie Kirk commentary post says Lindsey Graham is attempting to sabotage peace talks in Russia with Russia in Kyiv. The man is an embarrassment to the United States and will lose his Senate seat this upcoming election. Ian Jager, Lindsey Graham should be removed as chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. It's absolutely ridiculous. He can approve his own taxpayer-funded lavish trips to Ukraine. Oh, there you go. Approved. Rubber stamp. Lindsey Graham. $411,000 hotel bill. Joe says Doge under Elon Musk leadership has exposed the left's wasteful fraud and corruption. He's done a great service for the American people. Doge catches looters stealing trillions. It's a picture of Congress. Screw the congressional leeches. $800,000 a month on hotels in Ukraine for Senators Graham and Blumenthal's junket. The total cost of the trip, likely over $3 million. Graham has made 8 or 9 similar trips to Ukraine. Why? Oh, costing more than $25 million. We live in a 1776 moment. Is that from the Patriot? It says America will never be able to vote their way out of a Congress so drunk with power. No term limits, lifetime pay and Cadillac medical, free booze and gourmet food, insider trading, secret kickbacks. You think they're letting all that go? Flop Op says Republicans are red, Democrats are blue. Neither one of them gives a fuck about you. Oof. That one hurts. There are 518 days. Wait, what is this? This was on 6/3/20? Do they mean 25? Point is, I won't vote for any politician, Republican or Democrat, who does not vote to codify the Doge cuts into law. Jenk says there's no $4 trillion or $5 trillion to cut out of spending, not even close. And there's certainly not that much if you add to the most bloated part of the budget, which is the Pentagon. You said you were going to cut defense and you added instead. The real answer is you stop the trillions in tax cuts. Well, there's that. The Charlie Kirk commentary account says enough is enough. They just passed $1.6 trillion pork bomb filled with bribes, backroom deals, and BS. This isn't a budget. It's a payoff list. Elon is calling it out, and so should you. Shame on every sellout who voted yes. Thomas Massey bringing some common sense to the table.
Well, I'd love to stand here and tell the American people, we can cut your taxes and we can increase spending and everything's going to be just fine. But I can't do that because I'm here to deliver a dose of reality. This bill dramatically increases deficits in the near term, but promises our government will be fiscally responsible 5 years from now. Where have we heard that before? How do you bind a future Congress to these promises? This bill is a debt bomb ticking. Congress can do funny math, fantasy math, if it wants, but bond investors don't. And this week, they sent us a message. Moody's downgraded our credit rating, and the bond investors who buy our debt and finance our debt demanded higher interest rates on the 10-year note, the 20-year note, and the 30-year note. What does this mean? Very soon, the government will be paying $16,000 of interest alone per U.S. family. And what are we telling them? Instead of taking care of that problem, we're going to give you a $1,600 tax break. Under the taxing and spending levels in this bill, we're going to rack up, the authors say, $20 trillion of new debt over the next 10 years. I'm telling you, it's closer to $30 trillion of new debt in the next 2 years. Mr. Speaker, we're not rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic tonight. We're putting coal in the boiler and setting a course for the iceberg. If something is beautiful, you don't do it after midnight. I oppose this bill.
Gentleman's time has expired. Gentlemen.
All right. I did play this one for you. This is Dave Smith. The GOP is only fiscally responsible and against spending when they're not in control. Yeah, the GOP is terrible. Ronald Reagan reminded us the simple truth is, no matter how hard you work, no matter how strong this economy grows, no matter how much more tax money comes to Washington, it won't amount to a hill of beans if government won't curb its endless appetite to spend. Do you agree or do you disagree? I agree. All right, and here it is. This is the story I led with, and we put him in the profile picture of today's show. But look, and I have reached out to Rachel Luba multiple times. She is the agent for Trevor Bauer. with this update from yesterday. Huge news. Let me make sure you can see this on the I'll go to this so that we can all see this together. Trevor Bauer has won his lawsuit against Lindsay Hill for falsely claiming that Bauer paid her any monetary amount to settle their original lawsuit, and she is ordered to pay him $309,000 in damages. Now, the only money ever exchanged between the two is Hill paying Bauer $309,000. Bauer has still never paid her a cent. So to sum up, Lindsay Hill has now been ordered to pay Bauer and has been arrested and is being charged with assault and abuse in an outstanding warrant for her arrest. Bauer's other false accuser is currently being charged with committing fraud against him, and most importantly, Bauer has never been arrested, charged with a single crime, or paid even a cent to an accuser. Sarah Gonzalez says Trevor Bauer was, she's with the Blaze. Trevor Bauer was blacklisted from Major League Baseball because of a sexual assault allegation from gold digger Lindsay Hill, a woman with an inconsistent story and shady evidence who told a friend about Bauer, quote, "Need daddy to choke me out, being an absolute whore to try and get in on his $51 million. End quote. The case was settled without Bauer paying her a dime, though the damage to his career was already done. Yesterday, a California court awarded Trevor Bauer $309,000 in a default judgment against Hill after she lied and claimed he paid her money to settle their lawsuit. Judgment attached. Hill has a criminal history and a warrant out for her arrest for multiple charges in Kentucky listed below. Read this thread and decide for yourself whether Trevor Bauer should be barred from Major League Baseball over this shady woman's accusations. And there's all the thread work, all the paperwork. Trevor Bauer has had his career ruined. So for Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, normalize not destroying a man based on an accusation unless he is actually proven through the courts to be guilty of whatever he's accused of. An accusation doesn't amount to a hill of beans, to use the Ronald Reagan phrase from a few minutes earlier. Accusations aren't worth the paper they're printed on. I don't know, I'm just mixing metaphors. Protect men from false allegations. Let the court process play out. If someone is eventually found guilty, if someone is eventually judged to be guilty by a jury of their peers, and that, fine. At that point, fine. But don't go firing people from their livelihoods unless they've actually been proven to be something. Don't just erase people, ruin people based on an allegation. That's my call for everybody out there. Spread this message far and wide. It's happening far too often. Far too many false complaints. And I've said for a long time, whether it's Juicy Smollett, Bubba Wallace, LeBron James, Trevor Bauer, or I'm sorry, the woman who was accusing Trevor Bauer, the people who make false accusations, they should be sentenced to the same punishment that the person would have suffered had they been found guilty of your fake accusation. That is the way. That's the way you stop this from happening. You don't do it that way, you're encouraging more of this to happen. So do with that what you will. I really want Trevor Bauer to come back and pitch in Major League Baseball immediately. Someone sign him right now. Cleveland Guardians, take your chance. You've had some pitching injuries. Go get him. Come back. Reclamation project. Give it a shot. 1-year deal. Low base pay, high performance. Or whatever. Just make him any offer. He'll take it to come back. Do it for a year. See if he can lead you to a championship. What a cool story that would be. All right, just a couple quick more and we will wrap up today's program. Mario Knopfel saying a Chinese couple was caught sneaking crop-killing fungus into a Michigan lab. Crop-killing fungus. 2 Chinese nationals smuggled deadly fungus that can destroy crops and poison food. Sun Young Liu flew it into Detroit for his girlfriend Yun King Jan, who works for a University of Michigan lab not cleared for biohazards. The fungus, Fusarium graminearum, devastates wheat, corn, and rice, causes vomiting and liver damage, and is labeled a potential agro-terrorism weapon. Oh, by the way, isn't that what Roundup does to the bugs? It destroys their esophagus. It destroys their stomach lining. They explode from the insides out. And isn't that why we're all having so many IBS and gluten sensitivities and dairy? Isn't it because we're spraying poison that kills insects and then we're consuming that same poison? Allegedly. Those are the same allegations. It's labeled a potential agro-terrorism weapon, triggers billions in crop losses yearly. Research funded in China, and she's a CCP member. Liu was deported. Jian faces charges of conspiracy, smuggling, visa fraud, and lying to officials. It's a national security threat, according to the BBC. Now, what is this? Luke Radowski put this out. What are they talking about here?
You think you know everything about 9/11?
TMZ investigates.
You think you know everything about 9/11? You don't. There was a 5th plane. We have the evidence. The government tried to bury it, but you can see it on YouTube. It's called TMZ Investigates 9/11, the 5th plane. Prepare to be shocked.
I don't know what that is. Let me look that up real quick. The 5th plane. TMZ investigates. Okay. Seeing Diddy stuff. What am I watching? 42 minutes? All right, anyway, I'll check that out. Did you hear about a 5th plane? Not super familiar with that. And this is the post that Elon was talking about here. I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it. Justin Amash said 100%. Cernovich said, Republicans always lie about spending cuts. Paul Ryan gave Obama everything he wanted. It's jarring to realize what a scam it is. Republicans know they can get away with it, as the alternative is what we lived under, and it would be even worse. How to reform it all? Big challenge. Luke Rosiak reports Florida police arrest a 37-year-old illegal alien invader for abusing at least one, possibly more, of the teen girls that Biden admin sent to live with him as part of its unaccompanied alien children smuggling operation. I don't know who's reporting this. I don't see a... Let me put this into Grok. I want to make sure, because this seems like it could be a fake story. Is this true? Yes, the claim is true. Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. Wilson, yep, once again, four-named bastard. Nothing wrong with 4 names, but it's like you only use a 3rd name when someone's in trouble. Kenneth Horatio B2. You get back here right this minute. I gave you the middle name Horatio. I do say that. That was one of my jokes. I went and got a coffee and said, hey, what's a good name for you? I said Horatio. That's not my name, but I just, what's a good name? Yeah, that's a good name, Horatio. And then B2, because that's your last name on the... Anyway, that just, I found that funny. But yes, they are confirming this arrest has taken place. It is a legitimate story. Where is that X feed? Where was that? I just had it open. Okay. Assaults occurred in Feb 24 after the girl arrived August 23. Loosely vetted household. But it was Wilson Manfredo Lopez Carrillo. 4 names. If you're John Wilkes Booth, you get a middle name. Lee Harvey Oswald, you get a middle name. But so many of these illegal alien criminals have 4 names. All right, reported by Daily Wire, Gateway Pundit. Claim of a broader smuggling operation is not substantiated. I mean, it's all a smuggling operation. Stop. We know. All right. James O'Keefe reporting. Government whistleblower exposes $347 million contract for transporting unaccompanied minors. What you know, you can't unknow. GSA contract. Felt like someone kicked me in the gut, she said. Minors being treated like commodities, like potato chips on a truck. Big money business. It's about the children. It's her duty to speak up. Yes? Thank you. And here you go. For the love of God, get off Fox News and arrest someone. Right? Your last name is Bill? Kenneth? Okay, Nimbus, I know. You're ready for your third launch. Yep, they all knew and they did nothing. Where are the missing children at the border, Kamala Harris? Anyway, you get the point. That's what I had for you today. I appreciate you watching, everybody. Follow the New American Media on Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Kick, DLive, and YouTube at the New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_media_. Subscribe to our podcast at The Agree to Disagree Show. And that's on Spotify and Apple. And our donation links. If anyone wants to throw something in the tip jar, we're on Patreon at The New American Media. Venmo and Cash App at BrianEngelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment, all scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Thank you, everybody, for being here today as we unpack the news. Let's go, Bauer. Trevor Bauer, sign the man. Bring him back to the big leagues where he belongs. I've been a fan of his game for a long time. I said this guy has what it takes to win a Cy Young. Damn if I wasn't right. He won a Cy Young. I'm a fan of his game. And it just makes so much sense for him to join the Cleveland Guardians and right what once went wrong and bring a championship to Cleveland. Why not? So that's what I got for you today. I'll be back again tomorrow. Signing out for now. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.